Good morning, guys. Well, at least for me. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to cover our Fort Solgres. Well, everyone's Fort Solgres, right? I kind of wanted to touch on just my general tips and tricks, a bit of an explainer on what it is, especially for maybe if you've just started the game or coming back. Took me a while to wrap my head around it, longer than I want to want to talk about. As you guys can see, I haven't done any of my dailies or any of my anythings yet. Unfortunately, I was out last night trying to have a social life, which was exhausting. So I'll be back to do this now. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Let's get into Fort Solgres, right? So like I said, I just want to kind of give a high-level explainer of what it is, first off, and then my tips and tricks, how I recommend going about clearing it, what I recommend prioritizing, and all that kind of good stuff, right? So at the very beginning, right, you unlock obviously Fort Solgres pretty early on in the game. When you do, you'll have obviously the special, the enhance, the evolution, and the gold. I believe the special does take a little bit longer to unlock, but you'll at very least have enhance, evolve, and gold, which is where I want to start anyway. So basically, this is where you come for all your farmable mats, right, to like level up heroes. So let's get rid of that. So you've got potions and books are the two most, some of the most important things for leveling up or limit breaking your heroes, right? So books, and then you also have potions, which is what you need to enhance them as well. So especially early on, this is a good thing to obviously know, and basically each level will have a different reward for you and be harder and harder, and then when you get to the top, you'll be able to acquire basically max potions. So this is the potion, is the enhance, and then evolve is always the books. So evolve, you can actually go to the different colors depending on the heroes and the attributes you actually want to evolve, and you can farm these as well. This is all a farmable activity, and I'll explain what I mean by that very soon, and how you should go about farming it. But yeah, so that's basically enhance, and then each of these obviously you'll fight this attribute, right? So all of these heroes will be strength. So if you've got like a really good speed team, then this is a great one to clear through for potions. Or if you've got a really good, again, strength team, like basically just play to your strengths here, and which has the better hero attribute advantage, but obviously farm the color of books that you guys need as well. It's always good to have a good ample supply of all the types of books, as well as all the types of, as well as a decent amount of potions, so you can, level 100 people, or, level up people as you're limit breaking them. I need to get back on this. I've done a couple of level 100s recently, so I've churned through a decent chunk of my potion supply. It does take a little bit to get them from 90 to 100, as you guys know and will probably expect. But yeah, so that's these two. Pretty straightforward, just basically keep playing until you can clear the top one, and then when you need to, you can just farm the top ones depending on the books and the potions that you need. Gold is pretty much the same. This is probably the most farmable thing in the game, because basically it just gives you gold, right? Which, as we're talking, I actually probably need to do a little bit more farming myself, but this gives you, gold, right? It's pretty straightforward. It basically just allows you to buy stuff within the game. It's always good to have a decent amount of gold. I think anything in the 20 to kind of 100 million is, I personally think is plenty. I've seen some people on like YouTube and some other accounts where they have like 200, 300, 500, 900 million gold. You don't really need that much. Like if you've got a massive supply of, stamina potions, which I'll get to how to get these in a second, because this is going to come into play with your Fort Solgres. But like, you don't really need to go that high. Like I said, anywhere between like 30 to 100 million, I think is, or 20 to 100 million, I think is plenty. Anytime I kind of drop below that or get close to like 10 mil, I start to farm, just because, one holy relic's 5 mil, so it can cut your supply in half if you're at 10 mil. So always make sure you're farming. And what I mean by farming, guys, is you can actually go into a stage, right? You can select what we call a farming team. So this is basically any team that does a decent AoE. So for me, I have King, Trader Melee, and Escanor. So Escanor's obviously got the AoE, one AoE, and then a finger, which does death AoE damage. King is double AoE, and then Trader's got that AoE pierce card. I usually have Ragnarok Barn in the back just for the increase in damage. And then you can actually set auto repeat on or off. So if you click the little cog, it'll take you to the actual auto repeat count, and you can actually have no restrictions and just farm as much of this as you want, or you can have a certain number of count of how much. It goes up to 99 of how much gold or how many times you want to farm through this one particular stage. A way that I do it is I literally just plug my iPad in, or my phone in, whatever you guys play on, leave it running, and then basically just set this up and cover the screen. So when I wake up in the morning, I've farmed a couple of hundred stages, and I've got like maybe 10, 15 mil on top of what I had. So really easy way for you guys not to waste time, whether or not you go off to work or whatever it is, and you set this on and away you go. And then you come back from work and you've got a whole bunch of money to play with when you get home and you start playing again. But that's basically the way you want to do it. You can set it up on the computer, I suppose, depending on how you play, but it doesn't really matter. Just basically set up a farming team, as you can see, I've got one, and then just set up your heroes for it. It doesn't have to be these ones, but basically just any double AoE heroes is the quickest way to farm through it. You can use Shin if you've got him. You can use Echidna is a really good choice as well if you guys pulled on the Echidna banner, right? Any hero that basically runs double AoE is the best. Or for example, these are my kind of substitutes. So one very strong AoE and then a kind of 1.5 AoEs. So Chad King, Shin, and Echidna is probably the top selections is what I would run, something like that. But this definitely does the job, and these are the ones I've obviously got the most investment in. So yeah, I hope that makes sense and how to set up your farms. Again, and you can do this on any of them, right? So say you actually need a heck of a lot of potions, you can set up auto farm on your potions as well, and then go away and come back. I've done that a couple of times as well. So I've never really found it necessary to need to farm the books, if I'm honest. You can always exchange the books and upgrade them. But again, if you need to, you can, right? So these are kind of your farmable materials down here. This is what you want to farm. Now, special is honestly where I hang out 9 times out of 10 in this area. So these are only used when I need to farm stuff. I don't really touch them otherwise. So for my daily clears for Fort Solgres, for anything else, I will hang out here. And I'll get into the reasons why. So obviously the first one is you do sometimes have the special battles that you guys can do, which will give you, in this case, 2 diamonds once you get to the whole thing, as well as a couple of potions, which is always nice. So I will be doing this after this video, but make sure you guys always do this because it's just basically free gems at that point. Sarah's Spire is the best dungeon, in my opinion, in this whole one, right? And the reason why is because you get chests, right? You get all the treasure chests, you get pendants, and you also get potions, right? So I farm this every single day. It will automatically refill, I think it's every, I want to say 8, 10, or 12 hours. I know that's a very broad time frame, but it's a decent amount of time, and it'll refresh and it'll give you another one all the way up till 5. And then it'll stop counting up for you. Honestly, every day I will go in and just full auto clear however many I've got, right? Because there's always a chance that you get an SSR pendant. I got a couple of good potions, and I am 1 clear away from getting an SSR pendant as a final reward, right? So I got a UR chest, a couple of SR chests, and a whole bunch of potions, and then some normal pendants. And obviously the bingo awards at the moment. So I will always do that. It's definitely what I recommend doing. It's such a good dungeon. And you can actually increase how many of these you get by, in the coin shop, you can actually buy them. Now, they are available here for 10 silver coins. I don't usually do this one, if I'm honest. I usually spend all my silver coins on potions, which again, if you've got a decent amount of potions, it's a really good, I'm going to claim my free chest while I'm here. It's a really good way of being able to farm, obviously, right? So I will spend these silver coins on these, so I can get 99, so I'm just going to register all those, and I got 99 stamina potions, right? So, and I will do that so I have more stamina pots, so I can do more farming, or I can do more, demonic beast clears or whatever, right? But the real one that I want to use is this one here. So always, I've touched on this in another video, but always make sure you get max friends if you can, and send your coins to them every day, because what that will do is that will then give you a whole bunch of friendship coins, and now I have enough to buy the Saraspire keys again, right? So I got 3,000. You can't have more than 2,000. Like, you can't keep going more than 2,000. So because I grabbed a whole bunch more, I'm good. So I'll buy one of these. And now I can open them. Right? And it'll give me another 3. So now I can jump back in and clear them another 3 times. Right? So we're going to do this again. So this should be like almost like your main focus, I think, for clearing Fort Solgres, or at least doing your dailies. Like, this is where I do all my dailies for. Like, if I need to clear 3 Fort Solgres, it's always a Saraspire dungeon, right? Now, obviously, you won't be able to collect your friendship keys every single day, but this is a great one for SSR pendants and leveling up heroes and all that kind of good stuff. Wicked. So next is the time limit dungeons. So all of these bad boys. So as a free-to-play player, you should be stoked when Netmarble will give you one of these, right? I love it when I get given one of these, because this means it's just so much extra resources and mats that you wouldn't usually get for, like, this is like this is like over a week's worth of like stuff in terms of either SA coins or anvils and what you'd normally get, right? So this is awesome. So for me, I pretty much always do SA coins because I'm trying to fully SA a whole bunch of heroes. So and I don't have as much of a requirement for anvils at the moment. As you can see, I've got over 1,000 because I can't really decide who I want to start leveling up gear for next. But for me, it's all about the SA coins. So one of these will unlock this, and it'll give you 30 minutes to do 15 or 12 clears of each of these, right? And the rewards for this one is anvils, obviously, and every time you max this out, you get 10 anvils, and for this one, it is SA coins. So I've done the anvil one only a couple of times. I can't remember, it was a lot of anvils. I want to say like maybe close to 1,000 anvils. And then for this one, I get somewhere between 30 to 35-ish SA coins. So this is huge. This is often sometimes a full Super Awakening all the way from 1 to 6 stars. So I definitely recommend doing this. A bit of a tip for the top. I originally thought you needed all 10 to max this out, to like basically be able to unlock it once. This just means you can have a maximum of 10. So just use them one at a time, and this will get you in and you'll be able to do it. So again, you've only got 30 minutes, so when you do it, make sure that you do it basically and then just get straight into it. Make sure you actually have the time to then go through the time limit dungeon. Like, it's a reason they call it the time limit dungeon, right? Same thing with this one, the new Clock Tower of Chaos. This is for the new Chaos fragments to basically change your constellations. I do have to jump in and do a video on that and constellations, so I will at some point, but it doesn't really, honestly, this doesn't really apply to anyone that's not a whale. You would just basically want to be working through your constellations as normal. And again, I'll explain in another video, but yeah, you guys don't need to worry about this too much unless you are obviously a heavy hitter, because this will really help you at the high end of like PvP and stuff. But yeah, so make sure you do either one of these. Depending on the one you need more, I'd recommend, obviously, either do anvils or SA coins. For me, it's SA coins, but yeah. Cool, then you have these coin dungeons, right? So these basically cost, however many of these coins it says, right? So for example, I need 20 gold coins here to unlock it. You need 30 here, and then you need 6 here. So this silver one honestly gives you anvils, enhanced stones, and awakening stones. To me, it's not really worth it for 30 of them. I'd rather have 30 stamina potions. That's just me. If you guys do need these, it might be worth it. But like, if you're farming for anvils, I'd probably recommend just doing this dungeon instead, if you've got a time limit key, of course. So, and like, these are okay, but they're easier to come by, right? They're not kind of dire ingredients that you desperately need. So personally, for me, I give this a skip, just because that, yeah, it's just, I'd rather have 30 stamina potions. 20 gold coins. Now this one could be worth it, right? This one definitely could be worth it. I've personally never used it because my main focus has always been SAing heroes and leveling up my total box CC for the moment. But now that I'm becoming a bit more not specific with my heroes, but now that I've got a certain amount of heroes invested in that I really want to max out, I'm actually probably going to start using this one because this is super. These cosmetics are obviously super helpful for leveling up any of these. Right, so for example on this I've got max outfits here, but I need to keep going here, and these are hard to come by. So to be able to max out your cosmetics is kind of key, right? Like, so here I've got all my UR gears, but I would love to just go in and actually just max all these out, because then it'd actually make my Gotha pretty tanky. So like, I definitely think I'm going to start doing it. The first person I'm going to do it for is Thonar, just because I want her to be a bit more survivable in certain scenarios. But as you can see, like, I'm slowly chipping away at it, but it definitely takes a bit more time. So I think I'm actually going to start using this gold dungeon. And then finally you have the SSR coin dungeon. I would not recommend this one. It's entirely up to you guys. Obviously you get SA coin, evolution pendants, and hammer of Varzal and Gamer Stones, but it takes six of these, and I just don't think that's worth it. I'd rather invest it in alt, rather use it for maybe SA coins, use it for buying someone from the coin shop that you don't have. Like, I personally think there's just better ways of spending these, and these are a lot harder to come by than these two, right? Like, you get these guys every time you summon basically, but these ones are a lot more important. So look, if you do, who am I to tell you what to do? You can do these if you want to, but I would not recommend doing this one just because I feel like it's just 6 is a lot. Maybe if it was like 2 or 3, maybe you could justify it, but 6 is a lot. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. And again, for these time limit dungeons, you can do a same farming team as you would with like your other Fort Solgres that I was talking about. But if you do have her, the Liz you want to use is this one, because this one basically there you go. And when an ally uses a skill in a time limit dungeon, it deals additional damage equal to 40% of the enemy's HP increased by a unique or buff. So this is a really good one to have for the time limit dungeons. So swap out your Ragnarok Barn or whoever you have as your, maybe you've got Death Pierce or whatever it is in the back. Swap out that for this Liz if you do have her. It's not a deal breaker if you don't, but she definitely does make runs easier, especially in those time limit dungeons. So yeah. Cool guys, so that was mostly what I wanted to cover. Like I said, I hope that makes sense in terms of overall what Fort Solgres does at a high level, and then, where I recommend hanging out for most of the time, and what's the most benefit to you. You can also, as you see, these are the Fort Solgres dungeon keys, and then these are the normal dungeon keys. I wouldn't recommend buying these because this is just for these ones. If you've got them, use them, and it's very helpful, right, because it saves you on stamina. But when you're doing your auto clears, you can literally just, as I was saying, set it up to auto clear, and it shows you how much energy it's going to use, and then it also shows you how many stamina pots you've got. So yeah, I hope that helps, guys. Let me know if you guys do anything differently, but I think I don't want to brag, but I think I've got it down lock. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys have any other recommendations or anything you do maybe slightly differently, let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.